panel from our financial sector joining us, and we will be talking national financial inclusion. I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Marlowe Neal. Marlowe, welcome. Marlowe is an instructor and a coordinator of the Entrepreneurship and Hospitality program at Galen University. And tonight he is in the capacity as co-host. So Marlowe, welcome. I also want to welcome Dr. Sheree Smiling Craig. Dr. Craig is the manager of the Office of Strategic Management at the Central Bank of Belize. And we like to boast that she's also an adjunct faculty at Galen. Welcome, Dr. Craig.
Thank you for inviting the Central Bank. We're always happy to participate in information sharing initiatives. So thank you.
We're pleased to have you. Thank you for accepting our invitation. We'd also like to welcome, Mr. Francisco Magana, who is the head of retail operations, marketing, and business development at the Belize National Bank. Mr. Magana, welcome.
Hi, good night, and thank you for inviting National Bank.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. We will be joined a little later on by the Atlantic Bank and Mr. Rudolfo Carcamo, but we'd like to get the show started tonight. And like I said earlier, we're talking national financial inclusion. And maybe it's a good place to start by asking the Central Bank and Dr. Craig, what is financial inclusion? Dr. Craig?
Okay, sure, thank you. And if you'll allow me to bring some context to the question, in 2018, the Central Bank engaged the World Bank to assist our country in developing a national financial inclusion strategy. So at that time, we got together a national drafting committee with members from both the public and private sector. And guided by World Bank, we coined a definition that was what we thought was the best for our Belizean context. So if you allow me to read what the definition of financial inclusion for Belize is, it's the uptake and usage of a range of appropriate financial products and services by individuals and MSMEs, provided in a manner that is accessible and safe to the consumer and sustainable to the provider. So based on that definition, we came up with 25 specific and sequenced actions. We set priorities that are necessary to promote financial inclusion for Belize. So if I may go on, it's not that we're on our own. There are 60 countries who are currently implementing or are in the process of developing a national financial inclusion strategy. I can go on to talk more about it. Sure, okay. So let me say that globally, policymakers have long recognized that financial stability and financial inclusion work in tandem. Developing countries promote financial inclusion because they want greater access to financial services for especially low-income households and MSMEs. And this is normally done as part of a national strategy for economic and financial development. So that is done because financial inclusion is proven to be a building block for economic development. A major component would be financial education. And if you think about it, when people are more financially aware, they know how to smooth consumption. They understand how to create the balance between spending and saving, managing their risks, saving for that rainy day, and investing in human capital, things that will make their livelihoods better. Another component would be access to credit. For MSMEs, credit will help them to innovate and grow and generate employment. And for farmers, that investment would mean building resiliency against climate change into whatever they do. So you could see altogether, all of these components are really aligned with a nation's macroeconomic goals of shared prosperity and poverty reduction.
Thank you, Dr. Craig. That's really a good backdrop against which we want to have our conversation tonight. It helps us and our viewing audience to understand what financial inclusion means and really and truly what our national or central bank believes and our government is trying to achieve when we talk a national financial inclusion strategy. Okay.
Thank you so very much for the context, Dr. Craig. Marlowe here, it's a pleasure to see you, and Mr. Magana as well. Deanna, thank you so very much for the nice introduction. Dr. Craig, thank you for the context. You mentioned in your definition that there are 60 other countries as well. Can you give us an idea of where Belize is relative to the other countries and what progress we're making?
Okay, sure. So that is really important for us because we set targets in 2018 and we have been tracking how we are progressing with those targets. Clearly, we have to also consider the impact of the pandemic on our goals. But to start off, one of the major indicators of financial inclusion is account ownership in a formal financial institution, being a commercial bank or a credit union. And we know that 65% of Belizeans say they have an account in a credit union or a bank. So we know 35% of our Belizeans do not have a basic transaction account. They're not using financial products and services. And mostly we found that it's because they lack financial knowledge and capability. So when it comes to how we align with the region, we have found that between 2019 to 2021, we have seen very little change in that 65% account ownership. But where we saw a very big change was in the unemployed a category where we saw an increase in unemployed persons from 47% to 66% opening accounts, which we can attribute to participation in the social programs that were being offered as part of the pandemic relief from the government. So when it comes to account ownership, we say we have 65% of Belizeans with accounts. The Latin American region has 55% account ownership. But when we get to the Caribbean region, we're a little behind. Trinidad boasts 81% account ownership, and Jamaica boasts 78% account ownership. So we know we need to do some work to include our 35% of Belizeans in the financial system.
Definitely. Marlowe,
Yes, I have a question. Dr. Craig, thank you so very much for that. And I want to bring in Francisco and Mr. Rudolfo just one sec. But before that, I would like to put for them as the banks and they're on the ground, I would like them to kind of put a face on financially excluded and to give us some further context there. But Dr. Craig, in terms of the drivers of financial inclusion, is it a function of our economic growth, or is financial inclusion something that we can kind of inorganically increase? And if so, how much, if we put those resources towards it, how much of an increase can we really expect?
Marlowe, that's a difficult question because we know there is evidence that financial inclusion does not happen on its own. It has to be specifically addressed. and it has to be addressed from those sectors that comprise the financial sector and offer financial services. So it can't be one institution driving financial inclusion. It has to be a national effort. So there are all those industries like telecoms, financial institutions, private sector. There are several institutions that have to coordinate, and that's why we brought these stakeholder groups together so that we work in concert to drive financial inclusion. It will not happen on its own. We have to work together to drive financial inclusion.
If I could just jump in here, Dr. Craig stated some interesting statistics, and I guess this might be where Marlowe was going when he said he wanted to include Francisco and Mr. Rudolfo in the conversation. From the perspective of the commercial banks, what do these percentages mean for you and your operation, how you approach the sector and trying to include the unbanked, those who are not included, the vulnerable, the MSMEs, the low-income households? Francisco, would you like to go first?
Sure. Before the momentum took effect with national inclusion, 2013, the National Bank was open in an effort to include Belizeans who may have, for some reason or the other, not had the opportunity to get financial services elsewhere. Specifically, we started with the residential mortgage loans. And when the bank started, it was that the bank was using the lower interest rate to assist in the effort, assist the Belizeans to have access to financing to construct their homes. That had a ripple effect on the interest in the entire market reduced. From its inception, the objective of National Bank has been to provide assistance and make financial products and services as accessible as possible to the Belizean public. As Dr. Craig said it is a mammoth task which no financial institution can do on its own, but we do have in mind for every service we launch that we need to assist the low, middle income earners and especially the micro businesses, which in Belize we have over 17,000 micro and small businesses, which creates a lot of opportunity for National Bank and for the entire financial sector and the other stakeholders to assist as much as possible.
Thank you, Francisco. Indeed, the National Bank's whole purpose, and I'm glad you reminded us of that, was to, include those who were not at that point included. Mr. Carcamo, would you like to respond to that same question from Atlantic Bank's perspective? You're muted, Mr. Carcamo.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So as Dr. Craig indicated, the National Financial Inclusion encompasses or integrates or tries to integrate all the stakeholders, but not only the private sector, and not only the financial institutions or the telecommunication providers, but even the private sector, because it includes, and I'm sure that you will probably mention the APS3 platform that has done wonders for commercial banks and also for the bank's broad customer base, right? So what Atlantic Bank has been doing since its it launched its online banking platform in 2004, we have continuously been going to our customers, finding out what are some of the services that they would want to be provided with. And we came up, well, all sorts of requests were coming in, including when are you guys going to open a branch at our community in Hopkins, in PG, in Dangriga, in almost every little corner of the country. Of course, that is hardly, it's impossible to be everywhere. So we have shifted our strategy in terms of that brick and mortar environment to transforming that to more a digital provision of services. And we came up with what we have set platform, where it's a digital device similar to the card terminals, the POS machines that you would see, countrywide with our merchants. All the banks have that, but the Atlas set is unique to Atlantic Bank because we can now offer banking services in all the neighborhoods, in every remote village. We have 40 Atlas set merchants countrywide, and you were talking about as far as Sarteneja right now. We have in the Toledo district, Bella Vista. We have in the Bully Tree area, Pachacan, Shaibe, I mean, you name it. And we have in a matter of 3 or 4 months from now, we have additional takers, and that network will expand to about 200. All right, so it is reaching out to not only Atlantic Bank customers, but the wider population, because it serves no good for us to have a product and service satisfying only our customers. Granted that we have to consider that all the other banks have to maintain their customer base. So obviously, we are doing our part in reaching out, and customers that belong to other banks would be able to, utilizing cash, pay their bills using this Atlas set environment, all right?
Thank you, Mr. Carcamo. Indeed, quite a bit happening on our financial landscape. Marlowe?
Yes, very interesting indeed, Mr. Carcamo. And one of the takeaways from what you said with that product, I think, is the recognition that, it's not specific to just Atlantic Bank customers, but there has to be that interconnection with the other banks as well. And I suspect at the bankers level, at the national level, that's perhaps a discussion that is ongoing. Dr. Craig, if I can go back just to the policy side of it, and then we can then again hear from Mr. Francisco and Rudolfo. In terms of some of the other challenges, Dr. Craig, when we're talking about the financially excluded, is it awareness? Is it access? Is it just lack of information, misinformation? What keeps people out of the system?
Okay. Yes, indeed. There are several factors. If I could add to what Mr. Magana just said too, we were fortunate to work with the IDB to use machine learning small area estimation to identify those geographic areas of our country where there is need for financial access. We know that we don't cover the entire country with telecommunications, and clearly you'd need telecommunications to make mobile transactions and digital transactions. So we particularly know specific villages that have no access to financial services. Those individuals would have to come into a more urban area to access financial services. So access is definitely one of our challenges. And we all know that the Toledo district is one of the underserved districts, and it has the lowest level of account ownership and the lowest level of access to financial services. And Orange Walk district is second, with Corozal and Belize district being the highest two districts with access and coverage. But to go into more on why people don't have accounts, apart from access, there are things like education. One of the major areas that we have heard is that I don't have enough money to save. And what we have been educating whenever we get the opportunity, and the Ministry of Education was really good with this, is to inform persons that you could save 50 cents a day, $1 a day, $5 a week, and you're starting to save. So we're encouraging that kind of understanding of saving for a rainy day, knowing how to do a basic transaction account. And another area that has proven from our statistics to be one of the deterrents is religious reasons and the cultural reasons, where the women are not really allowed to do these types of transactions. So there are some hurdles that we have identified, and we now know exactly where in our country we need to provide more information and education to try to mitigate some of these challenges.
I would just like to add something to that. Apart from the different challenges, there are certain barriers that are easier to attack. But education is one of the challenges that is very difficult. Change in culture is very difficult. Access now, it is much easier to provide access to, for example, like Mr. Carcamo was saying, to the wider public once there is telecommunications around. Another barrier actually is, apart from people thinking that they have to have a lot of money to have a bank account, the requirements presently to open accounts, there are certain requirements that the banks have to request from the individuals, and these are requirements that individuals might not have because of where they live, or just find it difficult to obtain. Hence, we at National Bank have introduced our electronic wallet this past December, where you can subscribe using simplified due diligence, meaning you can enlist from the comfort of your home with minimal requirements. Of course, there are certain restrictions if you enlist with these simplified requirements, but it allows you to be now in the financial system. You can now transact, you can now transfer funds. You don't have to go into a bank. You can now purchase from the local merchant or vendor, the supermarket, the tacos vendor, the orange juice vendor, and you can have access to your funds through our participating merchants, where you can either load or withdraw from your digital wallet. It also gives access to individuals who want to do commerce online, and it has been difficult for them since we have a platform for e-commerce through our NBBP or our wallet. So although we have tried to tackle some of the barriers, there are other barriers that we still need assistance from all institutions, as we have said before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Magana. Indeed, the digital wallets are the new thing, or the new kid on the block kind of thing. But how effective are they? I know what they're intended to do. Are they really intended to help people to kind of circumvent some of the need to provide documents they may not have, and all of that good stuff? So when we have to take a quick break because we're at half point at this point. But I wanted to, if you and Mr. Carcamo could speak a little bit to, yes, those products and services are available. Are the people who they were produced to help and include using them? Are people buying into them? What kind of rate of access has really, and inclusion has really taken place since these products have hit the market? But on that note, we'll take our first break and we'll be right back with the Galen Hour.
The Galen Eagle Podcast every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Catch us live on Galen University's Facebook page, YouTube channel, and select radio stations.
Thank you for joining us this Wednesday night. It is a pleasure to be here with you on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. We have with us tonight representatives from the financial sector, and we're talking national financial inclusion. And I wanted to pick up where we left off just before that quick break and ask Mr. Carcamo if he wanted to chime in, or Mr. Magana, on just how effective have the new products been.
Allow me to do this part, and since and I'm just going to continue where Mr. Magana left as well too. So the Atlantic Bank, well, actually, all the banks have invested heavily in financial technology, right? Over the past years, and each bank addresses their own needs based on whatever strategy they might have. In the case of Atlantic Bank, I did mention that in addition, of course, to our online banking services, we have other services like the Atlas Express, but we also have e-commerce or e-commerce platform, which is constantly evolving. And the beauty about some of our services like the e-commerce is that it is homegrown. It is not just buying something from off the shelf or having somebody from outside doing this for us. It was based on dialogue, constant dialogue with the productive sector, particularly the tourism sector, that because of the tourism that we have in Belize, where we do not have those large property as we have in other countries. We have small properties, and the service is mostly personalized, where the tourists would send an email and the property owners would respond back and forth, right? So we developed the e-commerce platform to address the needs of those resorts in Belize that would utilize them most, where packages are developed and there's a price to settle at the end of the negotiation, and you make the payment through a payment gateway. All right, so it's not only the larger, it's the services that we provide is not just for the retail consumers, but it also addresses the needs for the productive sector, because it goes one-on-one. You're talking about the provision of employment, and interestingly, the whole issue of financial inclusion, one major aspect of why people say they don't or they are not interested in opening a bank account is that there's little or no economic activity in a particular zone, and if there's no economic activity, no employment, then obviously, you know, what is the need then for that individual to open a bank account? All right, so it goes one in one. So the more economic activity there is countrywide, the better for everyone. And the employers have embraced online banking. The digital age is here. They know that they have vast savings in doing everything online, including payment of salaries electronically, right? So, of course, then the employees, you know, have no choice but to open a bank account, and then goes then all the other products and services that we have attached to the overall suite of services that we have.
Indeed.
Okay, I'd just like to add to that as well. You had asked how effective these efforts are, and the only way we can find out how effective they are is to measure it somehow. And it would go back to how do we measure financial inclusion. And there are three main dimensions on how to measure financial inclusion, including access, usage, and the quality of the product, which, like I said, the access is there now, that the services are available, access wherever there is telecommunications, there's the access to our products. Now, again, the main barrier that we have noticed is the financial knowledge on how to use these tools. You can have the digital wallet, you can have access to lower interest rate loans, for example, but what do you do with it? You would need to have the knowledge on how to use it best for yourself. Example, people, micro businesses, they might want financial assistance. Now, there is an array of services and products provided by other financial institutions, and it's not that any of the products are better than the other. It's just that it would best fit that micro business. Maybe the X institution provides a service best suited for that micro business, and Y institution has a better service for that Y micro business. But we have found out that there's a lack of knowledge, as simple as how do you calculate your interest rate? What are the different type of interest rates that the different institutions offer? What are the fees? What are the conditions? So access, usage, people are signing up, but are they using it to the best of the ability of the tool, of the product? So the financial knowledge is one of the aspects that we at National Bank are focusing on, because we have noticed that this is the area where we need to focus on.
I couldn't agree with you more. I don't know if Dr. Craig would like to chime in at this point on the financial education. I know
yes, sure. Yes, yes. Financial education is one of the 4 pillars that we identified that we have to improve for Belize. And we thought that creating the public-private sector kind of partnership would be one of the opportunities. So the central bank had agreed that we would try to do global, national education on some basic financial concepts, And as Mr. Magana indicated, each financial institution would target their own customers and provide financial education based on the products and services of that financial institution. And as he indicated, most of the financial institutions are doing that. We hear from the credit union side, HRCU provides education whenever an individual accesses credit at that credit union. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities. I can say Beltrade works with MSMEs in providing training. The Ministry of Education works with all our levels of education from primary school. What we want, we have aimed, one of our target indicators is 100% of Belizean primary school students have some basic financial education. And we started on that. We need to progress that to the entire country. Likewise, one of our aims is to include financial education in the high school curriculum. And we aim to do that. We hope to get that done this year. So, there are again, all the different sectors working together to provide education. We know we need it, and we need to ensure that all our people understand basic financial concepts.
Thank you. Marlowe, I just want, before Marlowe asks his other question, Galen was happy to be part of some of the education through the and assisting the central bank with doing some financial education. And we do realize the importance of really going in depth in helping our populace to understand interest rates. When you walk into a bank, we walk in and lots of times we're not armed with the education and the knowledge we need to negotiate or to understand what it is we're buying into. And so indeed, I couldn't agree more. All the other things may very well fall in place a little easier if our people understand and are educated financially.
And yes, thanks so much for reminding me of that, because that we found to be so interesting. As a central bank, we participated with the Ministry of Education on an upliftment program for Southside high schools in Belize. And we had done an assessment of areas that we felt that we looked for where we could intervene to ensure that we have our students in school. And one of the major identified requirements was financial education, basic financial education. And we're happy that Galen partnered with us to deliver some basic training to teachers that they could impart to their students. And we hope to go much further with that initiative. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Thank you very much. Now, as regulator, Dr. Craig, I like the language that I'm hearing, because you're talking about unity and consolidation and a coordinated approach. And I think that's well and good. But I have to now turn my attention back to the commercial banks. And I look at such a very small economy as Belize, limited number of people. And I understand, yes, it's proprietary knowledge. Yes, you would like to be the first to market, but I'm still not seeing the level of, I would say, coordination that I would expect if we're talking about a common goal of financial inclusion. For example, I'm a Belize Bank customer, I'm an Atlantic Bank customer, and I'm a Telemedia customer. Each one of them has their own wallet, and I have to now perhaps use all of them. Where will this consolidation come? Where is the common platform? For example, when I go to the store, if I have to use one card or the other, the merchant will look at which machine to swipe through. At what point, and I don't expect you to answer this question now, because I know the market dynamics and everything, but I'm sure you appreciate this, and perhaps the customers out there are saying the same thing. When will this consolidation come so that there's a common language, and then we perhaps propel financial inclusion forward?
Can I offer some hope?
Sure.
Yes, clearly when I spoke about the 25 actions that we had identified that we need for our country. There's a word that we like to use around the central bank called interoperability. We want the different systems to connect and to be interoperable so that it doesn't matter what point of sale or what card you have or what point of sale the merchant has, you would be able to swipe your cards. So what we're saying is that to backtrack a little, the central bank had implemented apps or automated payment and security settlement system in 2016. That was part of a large national payment system reform. And what we did then was connect all the banks together, so at least we could have the payments being transmitted seamlessly across financial institutions. Where now one of our actions is to bring credit unions into that system so that credit unions and banks become more interoperable. They can communicate directly with each other. And so that project should be on stream. We're in the ending stages of it, and we should see a go live before the middle of this year. In addition, I should say in the next few months, not the end of this year, it should be mid-year. The second quarter, end of second quarter, we should have that in operation. And then we also have another project that is a part of financial inclusion, which is a national switch. And we're looking at the implementation, the benefits of implementing a national switch so that we can also have that interoperability. We don't necessarily, we're promoting it from the infrastructure side and not really from the marketing and competitive side. So yes, that is one of our projects that we have on the forefront.
Thank you for that, Dr. Craig. The central bank's plate is certainly full. And as they say, opportunity is disguised in hard work. And I see some opportunities there from the switch and connecting the interoperability, especially if there's a fledgling entrepreneur, someone that is technologically inclined that can bring these systems together with the amount of transactions that are processed in Belize, could be a very, very wealthy entrepreneur. All right, thank you for that. I am hopeful. And as well, Dr. Craig, I'll also put a plug for Galen. It also sounds like there's a lot of opportunities for awareness and financial literacy and outreach. We have partnered with the central bank before and Galen University. That's one of our trusts right now with the private sector. So we're here.
Yes, and I can add that the program was so well received. It was really well done. And we say hats off to the instructors from Galen who spent many hours developing the curriculum based on the topics that we required and delivering on those, the trainings. So we have seen really good reception for those training. So I would encourage the business sector, if you have 25 employees who need to understand financial concepts, contact Galen Universities. I had to give you a little plug there.
I was going to say that, so thank you for that, Dr. Craig. Indeed, and we can customize the training to suit the private sector or the organization that needs the training, because everybody comes with their own little particular area they want to focus on, and that's quite doable. So yes. We're happy to be contributing from an academic perspective to the whole inclusion movement, because we do see the importance.
Mr. Carcamo, Mr. Magana, on the ground, obviously we need to talk about COVID. Whether we're on the tail end or not, I can't say for sure. Mm-hmm. But what has the pandemic done in terms of, your approach with financial literacy, with outreach to your customers, with uptake of these products? Has it frustrated your efforts? Has it been, is there a silver lining?
There is a silver lining. The pandemic has taught us a whole lot of things for a whole lot of people, including the financial banks. When we see our figures with regards to usage of services, we saw and we appreciated a spike in terms of that switch to the digital age. People were utilizing their online banking services more often. They were doing more transactions online. We saw, in fact, all of us can appreciate some small businesses doing their business utilizing, Facebook, WhatsApp, and settling their payments through the bank, right? The different banks, okay? So yes, I believe that there is a switch in the mindset of individuals. Belize, we are known for not doing enough research. That is where we are lacking, and I would hope that Galen would, in everything that you guys are doing, would try to come up with research, meaningful research that can be documented and see what are consumers wanting, and also to validate the different services that the banks are doing, what the public sector is doing, and so forth. All right.
Well,
for us at National Bank, well, of course, there are the challenges with the economic downturn, but our services that we had already been using, or we were able to utilize even more. We were already doing remote onboarding to our customer service centers, and we were in the plans of other services where customers would be able to have their loan interview remotely from the comfort of their home. It was fast tracked because of COVID. And in fact, thinking about it, it would have been a good idea to have done it even before COVID. It has been welcomed very much by the public, and because they have to spend less hours at the physical branch. Of course, there are other things that need to come in place before we can say we can go fully digital. For example, our onboarding for loans or accounts. But it is still a learning experience because COVID is still here, and every day something changes, regulations change, etc. So we have to adapt to what these changes come with and have a glimpse of what we can do if we would be affected in the future with such pandemic or whatever economic crisis we might have.
If I may add, I can tell you that the data supports what both Mr. Magana and Mr. Carcamo said. We saw from between 2019 and 2021 a 3% increase in online activity, and particularly in rural communities. So we saw a 4% jump in usage in rural communities. So, it is interesting that we're pushing out the products and we're hoping that more and more they satisfy the needs of those the customers in the rural communities.
If I can jump in here, because we do need to take a short break, but it is really good to hear what's happening. There's a lot going on. The pandemic took us to a whole new level of realizing the need for virtual and remote banking. We hope that stays with us. I think, Mr. Magana, you just said that it probably should have been happening from before, but because of COVID, we're now doing a lot more where people don't have to show up in the actual brick and mortar bank. And that has become true for almost every sector of our economy. On that note, I'd like for us to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll give each of you an opportunity to do a wrap-up and last words. So we'll be right back with the Galen Hour.
Galen University offers a variety of quality academic programs. Visit our website at www.galen.edu.bz or give us a call at 615-3129 or 614-6415 for more information. Apply today and come soar with our Galen Eagles.
The COVID-19 vaccination helps us to protect the most vulnerable.
Our choice to get vaccinated affects others.
It is a moral responsibility and an act of love for the entire community.
My name is Dorian Barrow. I am the Dean of the Faculty of Education at Galen University.
My name is Melanie Usher Donaldchek. I am the Administrative Assistant to the Office of the Provost at Galen University.
My name is Sheree Gibbs. I'm the Dean for the Faculty of Art, Science and Technology at Galen University.
My name is Dr. Eve Aird and I am the Provost of Galen University.
I got vaccinated because of my family, my colleagues, and my students.
Because I trust the science, but because I also want to protect myself, my family, my colleagues, students, and the community so that we can get out of this pandemic and get back to our lives.
I did it for my Galen family, my family at home, and I did it for you, please.
I got vaccinated for my husband, for my children, for my grandsons. I got vaccinated for Galen University, for my colleagues, for my students. I got vaccinated for Belize, for you.
Get vaxxed.
Wear your mask.
Wash your hands.
And watch your distance.
Welcome back to the Galen Hour. We're in the last segment of the show. We're talking national financial inclusion tonight. We have representatives from the financial sector on with us. I'd like for us to pick up where we left off. Marlowe, I don't know if you had a last question you wanted to ask before we ask our guests to give their final words tonight.
Well, thank you so very much for that, Diana. No final questions on my end. We can pass it over to the guests for their final words.
All right, so let us start with Mr. Carcamo. Mr. Carcamo, what would you like to leave our viewing audience knowing and hearing from your perspective?
Okay, I'll stick to the topic, tonight's topic with regards to the financial inclusion. As a financial intermediary, we form a critical link to achieving the national financial inclusion strategy. We compliant with most aspects of what the strategy entails. We have been continuously engaged with the central bank in that regard. We continuously share our all the knowledge that we have earned so far, thanks to Dr. Craig and our wonderful team that constantly feeds us with information. And we continuously try to adopt whatever other things that are critical to meet the milestones of the project. We believe that with all that we have done so far, and we are excited about it, all the services that we have been developing so far are in line with achieving those milestones.
Thank you, Mr. Carcamo, and I don't think I introduced you completely this when we started the showcase. You were a little bit late in joining us, but Mr. Carcamo is also an adjunct faculty for Galen University and has been one for a long time. Mm-hmm. We are really happy to have Eagles among us tonight. So, thank you, Mr. Carcamo. I'd like to then ask Francisco, would you like to leave our audience with some last words?
Yes. Just with a glimpse of what National Bank will have in the near future to further our efforts for financial inclusion to assist the low and middle income earners, the micro and small businesses. We are planning to open more offices, and I say offices because we only have 2 branches and 2 offices, and we are planning to open other offices in other areas of Belize. Also, we have launched our e-wallet with basic features, but we have upcoming features that will even be more targeted to the low and middle income earners, so they can use these tools for the betterment of their livelihoods. And also, we are hoping to include development financing, to our services.
Thank you, Francisco. And again, thank you for joining us tonight. It's good to hear from the National Bank what's going on, and thank you for reminding us the purpose for the National Bank, and that stayed with me tonight, it will stay with me, was to increase inclusion. Dr. Craig, would you like to?
Sure, thank you. I would like to say that all of us know that our lives revolve around money, taking care of our families, getting an education, building a career. So it's up to each and every one of us to learn how to manage our money wisely. We need to be able to maximize whatever income we earn, and we do so by increasing our knowledge, increasing our financial knowledge, and that will help to make you more financially responsible and make better financial decisions. So I want to call Belizeans to action. Learn more about the financial services, the payment options that are offered by banks and credit unions. Do your research, understand the way the system works, and financial education is part of our mandate, and it will also work to promote monetary and financial stability, and in the end, ultimately, for the well-being of every Belizean, and that is our vision. Thank you.
Thank you too, Dr. Craig, and thank you for joining us tonight. Marlowe, Marlowe has been a fantastic co-host. I appreciate him being on with me for the past 2 episodes of the Galen Hour. Marlowe, you get to give the final last words.
Thank you so very much for having me, Miss D. I am hopeful. I'm inspired. And I truly wish our guests all the best in this initiative to increase financial inclusion. Dr. Craig, at the policy level, as I mentioned before, I have to put a plug for Galen. We're here to assist again in that endeavor. Mr. Magana, as well, I wish the National Bank of Belize nothing but the best in terms of enhancing the features of the e-wallet. And Mr. Carcamo, you mentioned the expansion of this platform to give the folks in the rural areas access, and I wish you much success in that endeavor as well. And Galen University is here to partner with all stakeholders. You mentioned research. That is in our wheelhouse, so please reach out to us. We do have the bandwidth to take on those initiatives, so I will put another plug there. But I sincerely wish our guests all the best, and I will have problems sleeping tonight because I'm kind of energized after shows like this. So
thank you, Marlowe. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, Mr. Carcamo and Dr. Craig. This was absolutely informative. It was a show that I think needed to happen. The information is valuable to all of us. We all deal with money at one point or another, and no matter if our money seems small, it's still ours, and we need to figure how best to use it and to make it work for us, and so that we can live healthy financial lives. Thank you for joining us, to our viewing audience. Thank you for joining us on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock here on Love TV. We're streamed live on Love Facebook page and on Galen University's Facebook page. The Galen Hour is a product of Galen University, and we're pleased and happy to be bringing to our country and our people information that can only help us with our growth and our knowledge. Thank you and good night. See you same place, same time for another episode of the Galen Hour. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
On the lovely